Hello! So my name is LOL, and I am obviously shooting the first video of our magical mini-series. And so this is the Magic in General movie that is just going to cover magic in general. We're going to have, let me think, 4 more. 4 more. One's going to cover light. That's going to be by Lila. I'm going to cover the gray magics. Lila's going to cover the dark magics, and Lila's going to cover the elemental magics. So stick around for those because this is not exhaustive, but those will help. None of them are really exhaustive because this is role-playing and it's a world where you write and it's, okay, you get what I mean. So I have points here. I'm going to try to make this video in less than 8 minutes. Go me! Point number 1. We want to start by clarifying. These videos are not at all to like give you guys these boundaries that make you feel like, oh my goodness, I have to watch these videos in order to make sure that I'm on the right track. Okay, we do have some rules and some guidelines set in place, but those are done for the sake of consistency. So we are making these videos really to hopefully let you guys run free more than to limit you. Okay, so see this as just help for you to know how to run free within the magical capacity of the wall. Also, keep in mind that when it comes to your character's magic, for the most part, creativity is the limit. So a lot of times people want us to spell out, okay, well, what kind of things can my character do within destruction magic? Well, we have the general guidelines. You know, they can use like ice, fire, they can do that kind of thing with destruction. But like what exactly that looks like is up to you. Ice wall, ice spear, fire dragon flowing out of your whatever, you know what I'm saying? So just keep that in mind. Your creativity, as is the whole world of role-playing, your creativity is the limit. So number 2, it's important for you guys to know that there is a thing called magical law. And this is in character. Everyone knows the magical law because they are taught it from the time they're children. And the same, you know, when parents teach you how to maneuver through the world, one of the things they are all taught is magical law. So let me read it verbatim. Magic should not be used on or against Northwinders without his or her permission to do so. So notice the specificity. Northwinders. You can't use it against Northwinders without his or her permission. Okay? On or against. So we have a thread within world lore that spells out specifically, though, what that looks like for each magic type. Because there's some magics where it's like, well, I could use it and it could affect them, but it's not on them or against them. So make sure you're well versed with that so that you know the magical law. Notice there is a clause. It says these rules are void when the individual being affected by magic gives permission, or when these rules are lifted by someone with authority to do so. So if a Master Chief tells your character, conjure this, like rock on that person's head, you know, that would break the magical law. But because the Master Chief, who has power over your character, has said that, then you're not breaking the law. Okay? You guys got it. Okay, so my third point is there are 2 kinds of magic. There's elemental magic and there is arcane magic. Just know, elemental magic is obviously the 4 elements. So the relationship that magicians have with their magic is going to look so different from arcane magic. Elemental magic it's a thing of nature. So their connection with this element is, they don't have an explanation for it. It only happened 75 years ago. So the oldest elementalist is 75 years old. No one can really explain why. There's not like a genetic connection. There's not a lot of literature on elemental magic. So there's not any schools really in Northwind. There's mentors, but there's not schools like there is for arcane magic. So elemental magic is still something new that, well, because it's new to our site, so we're still figuring it out. But so in character, it's also new for characters, and so they're still kind of working through it. But just know that elementalists are born as elementalists. It's not something that you can become an elementalist. No, you're born with this. But it can still manifest later in life. So maybe someone, right when they're born, like water starts shooting out of the ground. Oh, a water elementalist, got it. But maybe it didn't manifest till this person was 13 and someone tried to attack them, and then suddenly the water from the pond behind them reached up and saved their life, you know? So they had it from the time they were a child, but it can manifest at different times. So that's elemental magic over here. Then we have arcane magic. Arcane magic is an art and it's genetic. So either you have like you could say arcane gene in you or you don't. So someone in your ancestry somewhere should have it. Whether it doesn't have to be your immediate parents, and that's something you guys get to decide. But just know that it is genetic and it's an art. So whereas elemental magic, you could just accidentally, oh, I'm making water kill you. Oops. That's not how it works with arcane magic. Arcane is very intentional. You can't just go, whoa, destruction, firebolt from my hands. That would be fire elemental. So just keep that in mind. Arcane magic is an art. Elemental magic is like an emotional outpouring of a connection with nature. But arcane magic is an art. So arcane magicians study. There's tons of books. There's hundreds of years of books. They've had it for as long as they can remember. There's years and years of books. There's schools upon schools upon schools for arcane magic. And it's something that you learn. This is important for you to know because it doesn't, like I've already said, it doesn't just like pop out of your butt like elemental magic does. Arcane is it's imagine someone with a paintbrush painting a masterpiece. And elemental magic is like someone with paintbrushes like throwing it onto a masterpiece. And it can still be pretty, but it's like not the same. Okay. So with that, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Okay. Also but just know, magic always comes with a price. So anytime you make a magic magician, just know that it's going to come with a price. There's a price for magic because magic has potential to be OP. So again, we're making this hoping you guys hear these things and don't just like OP means overpowered. Don't just make your character like all powerful. Have fun with it, but keep it within limitations and just know that it's going to come with a price. And we spell out those prices in our other videos. Okay, next point is channeling magic. So in general, you channel magic, right? You have to somehow be able to do it. So there's this concept of channeling magic, which is kind of almost like your Ursa has a thread about this in it's a class for mouse, so you could go read up on this. But he describes it like you could call it the source, you could call it a mana pool, you could call it's however you want to describe your character, like reaching for that magic, or maybe you don't even want to have them reach for it. They just do stuff. Totally up to you. That's fine. How magic manifests. Now that's totally up to you as well, but here are some suggestions. You could have your character use a wand. I had a pencil somewhere, whatever. You could have them use a wand and say like, okay, they need their wand. You could do that if you want. You could have them chant, that's from Wicked. You could have them cut themselves with blood and then bleed, and it's like working through the blood, or they can draw symbols with the blood. You could have them do shapes like, doesn't Airbender, I don't know, but like you could have, or Naruto does like, you could have them just like go, and if something happens. You could have them go, and something happens. You could have them go, and something happens. You see that last one? I didn't do anything, and it still happened. Okay? So it's up to you how you want to make your magician channel magic. So you can send me a message and ask me about that. Oh my goodness, I'm way over 8 minutes, whatever. And I can give you more suggestions, but it's totally up to you. So have fun with it. Draw from movies you're watching or books you like or whatever. I'll only have 2 more points. Okay, so limits with magic. While I have said your creativity is mostly the limit, there are some more things that just keep hierarchy within the site, if you will. So obviously everyone has a number next to, like if it says destruction, they have a number. If it says fire, it has a number. So that number is obvious. That determines your character's strength and capability within that magic. And as we make our other videos going forward, we will give you specific examples of those numbers so you can hash it out in your brainsicle. But yeah, so notice numbers. So if you're a 3 and this person's a 6, the 6 is going to beat your magic, okay? If you have the same magic type. And then also notice a character's endurance. Endurance is the most important attribute for magicians, because endurance determines how long they can channel for, how much longevity and energy they have for channeling, and especially how big of things they can channel for how long, because if someone does a huge spell, it'll probably sap their endurance like that. But if they do a bunch of little spells, their endurance can go longer. Okay, that's kind of a given. Another attribute to be aware of is dexterity. Dexterity, we don't have speed, but speed is kind of within dexterity. So how fast someone can do something, like whether that's drawing a rune or moving or enchanting or whatever it is, dexterity does affect that. But endurance is the most important of all the attributes for magicians. So make sure you got a lot of it if you want them to be strong. Also know that your character can push themselves. I think of a car. How a car has an RPM, and you have those safe numbers, usually like 1 to 4, and then once you get into 5 and 6, it turns red. That's kind of how magicians are. You can push yourselves and do a ton of magic over a long period of time, and then you're up here, and different things can happen once you get into that red RPM. And again, it's up to you. You can have your character lose their memory. You can have a character lose their magic. You can have a character pass out. You could have them pass out and wake up with amnesia. I already said that, lose their memory. The most extreme is a character can die from pushing themselves too far with magic. So just keep that in mind. If you do something in a thread where it's like big thing after big thing after big thing, and you don't play out your own consequences, there is potential for an admin to step in and say, hey, your character is on the verge of death. They need to either stop doing magic or you can kill them. All right, so just keep that in mind. And again, it's just a thing we have in place to keep characters from being all powerful. Last thing, so I hope this is helpful. The last thing is a kind of a fun thing that we're coming out with. It's a level 9 reward, I want to say. But we are going to be unrolling something called Grandmasters. So obviously all of the tops of magic, once you get to 10 or 20 for elementals, you're a master. But that changes when once you get to level 9, you have the ability to become a Grandmaster. There's only one Grandmaster of each type of magic, so there's one for destruction, one for shadow, one for mysticism, one for blah, 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 blah. And then for elementals, it's one for fire, one for water, one for earth, one for air. Just know that elementals, if they know more than one kind of element, they cannot be a Grandmaster. You have to only know one to be the Grandmaster, because to be a Grandmaster of a magic means I am the top of the top of the top, and there's only one who is that. If someone else down here is like aspiring to be a Grandmaster, you basically need a plot to kill the current Grandmaster. Fun. So keep those things in mind, and those are all my notes, and the video is way longer than I wanted it to be, but I hope this was helpful. Again, we're coming out with more in the series, so stay tuned for those.